morning, glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Hugh Hewitt here on the Salem News Channel in the Relief Factor studio, joined by Noah Rothman. Noah C. Rothman on X. He is a senior political writer for National Review, and he's now being driven in for a Fox News hit, no doubt. Noah, big night tonight. The vice president gives her first interview in 39 days. Do you have confidence in Dana Bash? I do.
I think I'm reasonably confident that she's going to try to ask some very tough questions. Not all of them will be barn burners. I don't suspect Republicans will be 100% satisfied with her performance. But, you know, they often cite her work inadvertently, even if they don't know it, when they talk about, for example, Kamala Harris saying that she takes a fair amount of credit for withdrawal in Afghanistan. That was the result of a Dana Bash inquiry. So I suspect that we'll get a couple of questions that will be illuminating enough that they will have some shelf life and move the news cycle in ways that we haven't had a news cycle move over the last month and a week, 5 weeks.
I agree,
and
I worked.
Good work.
I did 4 debates with her in 2016, 2 with Jake, 2 with Wolf, and 4 with Dana. And she's a very, very serious about doing the job, and she does not want to end up in Candy Crowley land. Nevertheless, I have put out at Fox News a column with 15 questions. I want you to grade these questions, something that you always do on the editor's podcast, A to B, A to F. Question 1. President Biden named you as the lead in the effort to stem the flow of migrants against our southern border in March of 2021. That did not happen. Why? What's your letter grade?
That's an A+ question. And one of the things that I'm expecting, if they get to border policy, I'll be very surprised. There's a lot of area to cover, and that's not one that I think either CNN or Kamala Harris will be eager to get into. But that's an important question. And also, you know, you have the New York Times talking about how Joe Biden is enjoying the benefits of his executive order clamping down on the border, which he said he could not do without legislation authorizing him to do that. Do Republicans get credit for that? Do Republicans get credit for saying you don't need legislative authorization to execute the powers that you already have? And they've been proven right. So are Republicans justified in their opposition? But A+ question on that first one.
All right, second question. How many people have entered the country without invitation since you and Joe Biden took over? How do you grade that
She
question?
won't even know the answer to that. I mean, it's a good question, but no, Democrats will regard that as a gotcha question. If you need to know an exact figure, and I don't know the exact figure, so I would suspect that's arcane knowledge that Democrats would object to, and they'll say, Dana put her finger on the trigger. Because she won't be able to answer
that to be arcane? We don't have any idea from them. It's at least 10 million. Trump says 20 million.
So it is a trick question.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's 3. A good question, but it's not one that she can answer specifically.
What was your role in the withdrawal from Afghanistan?
That's one I'd love to hear. I'm also going to say an A on that question, but I don't think it's an answer because I think she was not being truthful when she said that, when she nodded essentially and acknowledged her role. She didn't say anything really. She just acknowledged the premise that she was asked. Were you the last person in the room talking to Joe Biden about his decision to withdraw from Afghanistan? I think she just wanted to emphasize her role as being second in command to Joe Biden and, you know, her importance to this administration. Not that she had some actual role in planning or certainly executing the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. So that's a good one because she's stuck on that one. I don't think the answer is.
I've got 3 A's.
She
I should quit while I'm ahead. I've got 3 A's. I'm doing well. This has never happened to me actually in my academic life. Cut number 4.
Yes. Okay.
In your acceptance speech, you noted the horror. Okay, this is number 1. In your acceptance speech, you noted that horrors occurred in Israel on 10/7, as well as the loss of innocent life in Gaza. Was it your intent to equate the massacre on 10/7 with Israel's actions in Gaza since then? How do you rate that question?
That's also, I'm gonna be harder now, and I'm gonna say B+ because that would give her an opportunity to say things about the U.S.-Israel relationship that I don't think she believes. I don't think she honestly is as supportive of the Israeli mission and the U.S. alliance as she is making herself out to be for the benefit of a general election audience that generally supports Israel over the Palestinian cause. I would like her to explain why she believes exactly why and where Israel went too far in her estimation in this war, and why there is this that allows her to establish a moral equivalence. I would like to tease out the moral equivalence that she intends to draw between the Palestinians and the the Hamas really, and the Israeli Defense Forces. I would lean more heavily into Joe Biden's language than her own language. She's inheriting a series of policies, and is she going to perpetuate them?
Well,
That's my question.
my thinking was that sets up the next three, and I'll give them to you.
Okay.
Question number 5: Did Israel have the right this past weekend to strike Hezbollah in a preemptive attack on the terrorist missile force? 6: Does Israel have the right to strike Iran to preempt another attack from Iran? And 7: If Israel is attacked by Iran, would it be legitimate for Israel to destroy the oil export facilities on Karg Island? The reason I do it this way, Noah, is I have a rule of thumb. Never ask multiple questions. Don't put one question in a question in order for the subject to have to answer it. So I'm trying to get to where you want to go, but I think she's got to do it in steps, not ask four questions so we get a word salad.
Yeah, and it's not going to be all foreign policy either, much as we would like it to be. And I would add that, will you provide intelligence, material, and logistics support for an Israeli operation aimed at neutralizing the Iranian nuclear program? But beyond those, yes, I understand that we want to bundle all these questions together. But the editors at National Review were going back and forth over how you should talk about all the policies she has shifted from 2019 to today. And it could take the whole interview if we were to go through all of them. So, we were going back and forth over whether you bundle them all together. And like you said, the consensus is that she'll get to say, "Oh, I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to talk about the future."
Yeah, that you got to ask about
and our love of dancing.
Yeah, she did it yesterday at the high school. It was so cringe-inducing in Georgia. The most important domestic policy question is number 9. Should the Supreme Court be expanded in its size? It's a very simple question. I'd like to know what she thinks about court packing. Do you think Dana will ask it?
I think she will, and I think Kamala Harris's default will be to say, yeah, well, Joe Biden posited this plan in the waning days of his campaign, where he was just desperately trying to hold on to power by baiting the progressive left into supporting him. I think she'll lean into that. What I want to know is whether Sheldon Whitehouse is accurate when he says that he had verbal assurances from Kamala Harris's staff for his Supreme Court reform bill, which is a little bit more extreme than that. She might dodge a question that says
she can dodge that by saying, "I haven't read the specifics." Yeah, I'm trying to avoid dodges. Yeah. Here's the last one I want to test on you. I've got more than this. You can read the column yourself if you want. But I think this is a must-ask question, and Dana will fail if she does not ask this question. Madam Vice President, you were absolutely against fracking in your 2019 presidential campaign. What is your policy on fracking now? Because they did it again yesterday. They changed it twice. Doesn't that have to be asked?
I would hope
spokespeople did.
It's spokespeople, exactly. It's an electorally significant question. I think it resonates with a small subset of voters who are very, very relevant to this election. I don't know if it's a general interest question. It's something that we are very concerned about, and people in Western and Eastern Ohio Eastern Pennsylvania are very interested in. But not just what is your position today, but why did it evolve? What were the inducements? What did you learn? Did you discover new information? Have you talked to new people? Or is subtextually, or is it quite obviously a pander to an electorally important subset of voters that you will abandon the second you no longer need them?
Now, in this column, I call Tim Walz her blankie. I would absolutely, at the beginning of this, say, Governor Walz, I will ask you a question, but I'm going to begin with the vice president. I ask you to respect the audience and not interrupt her answers. Do you think he's there as a parachute, a way to get out, like the escape hatch?
That the Walz factor is one that I'm really interested in, because to the extent Governor Walz has made news since his selection on August 6th, it has been for his reputation now that he's developing as a fabulist, as an exaggerator. Some of it really quite inexcusable. And the progressive left has made up a lot of excuses about what rank he retired at and why he said all that. But we don't know why he exaggerated, in fact, flat out lied about the use of IVF as a fertilization process with his wife. We don't know why he misled voters in Minnesota about the nature of his 1995 DUI arrest, what he told arresting officers, which is not accurate. The Harris campaign has a truth problem around Governor Walz, and there's not much else that's newsy that's worth asking him. He should clarify.
I agree.
I
think he's going to step in when she gets in trouble. That's what he's there for. Noah C. Rothman, I will go read what National Review has to say. I hope the editors talked about this before, and I hope Dana is listening to National Review as well as me. Stay tuned, America. I'll be right back. Thank you, Noah C. Rothman. Follow him on X at Noah C. Rothman.